Dr. Fu, please.
Thank you. First of all, I feel very honored to be here to present my experience, and it's very excited that I can say thank you in person to all the professors and the chairperson of RGC Research Grant Council. It is our honor to be here. So thank you very much. About the experience of writing the proposals, I'm not in the best position in talking about the criteria, etc. So I better leave it in later parts, maybe in Q&A. But I will share some difficulties in building a team. Because unlike other kinds of proposal, for example, FDS, which is not as emphasizing the synergy of team as in the IDSC. The differences between IDSC and FDS is a big challenge to us because we need to communicate with members from different disciplines, from different subject areas. So that's why we would like to share about our experience of team building. So first of all, I'm representing on behalf of my own research team members, and actually is actually I'm the PC of the project, and my colleagues and in the Department of Psychology, for example, Dr. Jason Chow, Dr. Alex Lee, and we have team members from Department of Social Work, Department of Journalism, and Department of Sociology, and Department of Business and Administration. So this is the list of team members, and our project is beginning on the one day. I remember the research office called me and say that we will have a new project on IDSC. So they actually is the research office to invite us to give some new ideas, to brainstorm the new ideas. And this is the beginning of the writing of the proposals. So the whole process, I guess we have prepared for it for about 8 months because we have planned earlier to try to communicate with the team members to see which areas is more possible to allow all the different discipline team members to have synergy with each other. So the keyword is our research office asks us questions. Professor Selina Chen from Xi'an University, she often asks us, what is the difference between our own projects and a series of combination of FDS projects? I guess this is the main reasons why I'm here, because we have think about it for many, many months. And we have tried to think about ways to how to incorporate each different disciplines expertise into at least a more organized system and structure, and try to make it easy to be understood. And from our idea, our perspective, we want to do something that is more socially relevant, and how to integrate technology and social needs and academic scholarship is a very challenging task, and it's actually very difficult to keep a balance between these 3 elements. And our team all regard that these 3 elements are very important in the writing of the proposal and the completion of the project. So support from the research office is very important because they will often challenge our idea, actually. We are talking in terms of dialectic communication. We try to ask questions and try to brainstorm our ideas based on this. So it's not a direct confrontation. It's just a brainstorming practice. So in each meeting, we will brainstorm some new possibilities and see why this can be a FDS project instead of an IDSC project. So the role of PC, actually PC is not a leader, actually. Definitely not. This is a convener. So of course the convener needs to organize all staff, team members' contributions, but it is not a leader. It is a convener. So project conveners in our case is that we try to facilitate team members' idea and try to organize all different ideas from different disciplines and sort out all the keywords that we think that some discipline may be well aware of this kind of terminologies, but some other discipline members will need some more time to explain and elaborate those terms. So we think about a list of possible keywords and terminology in each discipline and see which kind of terminologies can be commensurable with each other disciplines and which kind of words only appear in a specific discipline area and should be avoided or should be further elaborated. So at the beginning, we give a list of possible terminology at the beginning, and then we try to communicate which kind of keywords we can communicate and work on with each other. So different disciplines, of course, have different perspective in the same phenomenon and maybe have different values, and maybe sometimes it's difficult to collaborate because of their values or their ultimate goals may be different. For example, in this project, we brainstorm the idea about esports, which will be a future phenomenon, and esports will be is a very interesting area because it is a new phenomenon. It breaks the boundary between layman and between athletes. Those athletes, previously, we need very huge training and huge amount of coaching to train an athlete. But for esports players, many of them just self-practicing these esports skills. And that's why it's difficult to differentiate a layman player from an esports player. And the nature of esports will be totally new because it's not by Olympic Games communities, not by Olympic Games organizations, but it is organized by many entrepreneurs. So that's why it's a business models inside it. So all different members at the beginning, we have very different, and we often have some debate among our team members what should be the major focus in the proposal. So at the beginning, it is, of course, the debate is friendly, in a friendly atmosphere. So it takes some time and some months to make the shape of the collaboration. As I've emphasized, we have different lingua francas and different terminologies, and we have discussed for some time the role of technology in the project. In the 21st century, technology is, of course, a major element, and how to use technology to enhance our society is one of the major themes of this collaborative project. So we have to think about the role of technology, and the scale of projects should be tangible. And we have calculated hours or available work hours within, for example, within a week, and make up a more reasonable plan. I guess this is very important because sometimes we ignore the feasibility issues, and I guess we need some time to figure out how much hours and total work hours we can afford, and depends based on this total work hours, we calculate the work hours for the big project, this IDSC project. And sometimes in a mixed design research plan, we need to figure out how to combine qualitative and quantitative data in the research framework. And this is quite difficult in some sense, because in quantitative approach, we usually emphasize the sample size or the power. But for qualitative aspects, sometimes we focus on how to find the special participants for interviewing, how to find out the special interviewee. So sometimes we need to discuss among our members on how to work it in a different manner. So we have a thing of two possibilities of how to link all the researchers' ideas in the framework. So it's not I would name the first idea is designer model. So researcher A find the questions and then lead to researcher B. So the findings of researcher B will lead to researcher sees another output, and so the researcher sees, solve some problems, and then give to researcher D to develop something useful and something having social impact. So I would call it designer model because each one I guess it is a very good model. It's a very good for integrating this. But the problem is that it seems that in our nature it's very difficult to follow this model. So we try another possibility. So we think about, can we use the ensemble model? Just imagine we are in a rock band. So one is playing drum, one is playing bass, one is playing guitar, and all things blend together perfectly. Then it is also a kind of synergy. But how to do so is, so we have to find a model, a theoretical model that is allow different types of disciplines to work with each other. So in our proposal, we find the Bronfenbrenner's biological models are useful model because it incorporates the micro level and to macro level to quantum level. So different levels of analysis and technology can be combined in each other in the framework. So our belief is that if research gap exists between different disciplines, then it is already the best place to begin with. And the ethical issue is important because in writing a proposal, suddenly we find that ethical issue is important because sometimes we think, oh, it's just a focus group, or sometimes we think that it is very easy to solve the problem. But then the colleagues from social work department say that, hey, it is not that easy because they involve some referral issues, assessment issues, and talking about sensitive data, etc. So we have to discuss about the ethical issue that we may be not aware of it, but our colleagues know the difficulties, and so we have to think about ethical issues in the writing of the proposal. So the team night is important because sometimes we need to deliver our message, particularly in the interview. It's a 10 minutes interview, so we have to deliver the message clearly and discuss the conflicting perspectives and controversies between dream and reality. So what is already done and what is to be done. So we have to think about it and think about dreams and visions in the impact, because what we want to do and for example, how to make a balance between technology and human well-being, and how to strike a lifestyle that is favorable for sustainable development of Hong Kong. So we have to think about this stuff. So actually, after long times of discussion, we actually come up with some ideas to incorporate all the disciplines within the framework of Bronfenbrenner's social bioecological models and try to think some new ideas. And this is, so we keep on thinking about, brainstorming about what are the definition of key terms. For example, esports. Some say that, oh, esports is just like Olympic Games, but some say, oh, it's just a normal game playing. So different person may have different ideas about what esports. And actually those keywords, we think that it is a layman term or common sense terms are actually those that we need to clarify, because a clear definition will facilitate the writing of proposal. And sometimes finding the discourse is important because sometimes there are different views on the same phenomenon. Sometimes there are conflicting discourse towards the same phenomenon. So we need to sort out in the proposal to make a clear picture so that we know our situation, we know where we are. Of course, some eye-catching diagrams in the presentation is necessary. For example, this is a representation of the game addiction model. And sometimes, some recent events to actually illustrate how the world is changing. For example, in the world of COVID-19, previously, those, for example, in soccer or Premier League, they are very against esports. But due to COVID-19, the attitude suddenly changed, and they are in favor of esports and try to regard esports as a new source, a new possibility. So we can see that the world is changing fast, and we need to clarify how the changes will lead to new opportunities in research. And maybe SWOT analysis in the proposal is useful because it will give a clear picture about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. And for presentation, it is we have to aware of the time limit. So we have actually planned about how many words should be included in the scripts and which slide is the most important slides, etc., and what should be highlighted, etc. And we have the team members to check it again and again to see what kinds of terminology sometimes, because I come from psychology department, some of my terminology will be restricted to Department of Psychology. So psychologists immediately understand, but for other disciplines, they may have different understanding. So we check it for many times. So for example, the term holistic to us means a framework that incorporates different levels of elements. But maybe a colleague say that, oh, holistic means that it's a perfect solution to us. So in their discipline, their understanding is totally different. So that's why we take much time on clarifying which kind of terms will be easily misunderstood, which kind of terms we should be aware of the difficulties. So finally, we try to integrate all contributions within the framework of interdisciplinary framework and try to organize all our research activity in a diagram. So this is a little bit easier to follow. And for deliverables and impacts, we all agree that our teammate agrees the important element because in this large-scale project, we need to think about the possible social impacts, and we must regard it highly. So how to involve with the community, how to cooperate with community, and how to make a sustainable development after the project is very important. So we think about maybe we develop a knowledge platform, and this knowledge platform can mobilize the local school and all the scholars involved in the research area in e-gaming and esports to share our experience, and maybe this can be an initiative to encourage those scholars, teachers, or even students to make some projects on their own and share their experience. And I guess I have already overrun, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fu. We'll now have a short Q&A section on the presentation by Dr. Fu. Let's see if there is any question from the floor. There is one question for Dr. Fu. Okay. As you have mentioned in your presentation, collaboration is the keyword for institutional development scheme collaborative research grant. Yeah. Sometimes it may not be easy to identify a collaborative research idea or suitable team members. Do you have any tips that can be shared with us? Dr. Fu, please.
Sometimes it's difficult because sometimes different disciplines have their own terminology and values or totally opposite perspective in the same phenomenon. For example, in business model, the goal is how to promote esports and how to make the benefits out of it. From social work's perspective, we should constrain the size of e-gaming because it will lead to addiction. So the assumption is totally different, and sometimes we find that a simple collaboration may be difficult, but at this point, I guess the PC can lead to some meeting and interesting discussion between the teammates. This is not a type of debate or argument, but we can just list out a different perspective and see how different perspective can turn into another way, how to collaborate and start cooperation. So for example, in this project, I asked the colleagues from social work department. Actually, she's the department head of social work in Xi'an University. For example, what kinds of information you want to know from a company, from an e-gaming company, or from business person? So what kind of information you think that it is valuable? So she think that, oh, we want to know how the business promote their business and how to make the game more attractive and more addictive, etc. So this is their perspective. So we list out all the lists and all the questions. And then for a business person, what kind of information you want to know from the social workers? So from the colleagues from business department say, oh, we want to find which kinds of games the parents think that it is safe and secure. So which kind of games is, in social work's perspective, is safe. So they could tend to promote it to the families. So what kind of games that can be less addictive, but at the same time can expand their business, for example. So we come up with a set of research questions and see which discipline can inform other disciplines. So this is the beginning of the writing of the proposal. Of course, the role of PC is not a leader, but we need to, as a convener, we have to initiate all these kind of discussion during the writing of the proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Fu. There's one question from Xi'an University. Would you please ask your question, please?
I'm George Wai from the Department of History, Xi'an University. So my question is, you emphasize the impact of your project on the society. I assume when you made the proposal, addition to e-game was already a serious problem. So probably many scholars have done research on the subject. So my first question is your proposal the first one? If not, how did you make it unique and compatible? Have you got my question?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. And actually, yes, for the proposal of e-gaming, some of course is attractive and have some social meaning inside this project. For other areas and other discipline areas, we think that actually all discipline areas can make contribution to a society. And we believe that, for example, humanity and experts in technology can actually cooperate with each other to make the finding not only referring to scholarly circle, but to all people in Hong Kong. And I guess communication is most important, as we have said, because different perspectives usually have their own interests and research questions. But how can we expand this research question to other disciplines and collaborate each other? Sometimes we need to sit down and just brainstorm some research question that all feel we can work on with each other. So maybe it takes some time, I guess. For example, it takes several meetings for the team members to get a set of research questions that we feel comfortable to work on. So the preparation time, maybe we need more times for this kind of brainstorming and preparation. So hope this can make some useful information for you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fu.